And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death of the cross. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. The Strong's Concordance defines the word cross as a stake or post, as set upright. That is, special, a pole or cross, as an instrument of capital punishment. Figurative, exposure to death, that is, self-denial. By implication, the atonement of Christ. In the King James New Testament, this word is found 28 times, while in other translations, it's found 27 times. In his book, The Biblical Meaning of Numbers from 1 to 40, Dr. Stephen Jones states that 27 is the number of the ministry of salvation, while 28 is the number of the leading of the Spirit. In both cases, the spiritual meaning of the number points to the message of the cross as the power of God. As Matthew 16:24 shows, the message of the cross is the message of self-denial. Before we can deny the self, don't we first need to understand who or what the self is? Of course. Following his statement in Matthew 16:24, the Lord gives us more understanding. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? Here we begin to get a better understanding of what is meant by the self. As noted, the words life and soul are the same word. So in essence, to deny the self is to take issue with one's own life or mode of living. In agreement, Jesus said, for what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? This statement further enhances our understanding and brings us to the following. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes, and pride in possessions, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. Here we find what is meant by the whole world. Note that the Apostle John sums up all that is in the world in 3 parameters, where 3 is the number of a complete witness: the desires of the flesh and eyes, and pride in possessions. The NIV renders pride in possessions as the boasting of what he has and does. So let's talk reality. We are creatures of flesh and blood, possessing 5 senses: sight, touch, hearing, smell, and taste. These senses allow us to experience and understand the world around us, do they not? So would it not be appropriate to say that the desires of our flesh and eyes incorporate these senses and are needful for our human existence? Of course, but this is not where the problem lies. Notice the third element which John mentions, which is pride in possessions. It is this element which corrupts the natural and normal desires of the flesh and eyes. Think about it. Pride in possessions, or as the NIV states, the boasting of what he has and does. The King James renders these phrases as simply pride of life, but the word pride is defined as braggadocio, taken from the root meaning vagrancy, braggart. I immediately think of the following. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. And Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Surely you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground. I shall be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth. Then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Most everyone is familiar with the story of Cain and Abel and the fact that Cain killed his brother Abel. Following his death, the Lord reckons with Cain, and as we see, tells him he will be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth. Cain repeats this sentence, and then we read that Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod. Our words fugitive, vagabond, and Nod are all connected. Fugitive means to waver, while vagabond means to nod or wander. And Nod, it means vagrancy. Waver, wander, vagrancy. Literal? Perhaps, but I believe it applies more to what's within. Why do I say this? Because of something Cain said when the Lord visited him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is Abel your brother?" He said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" "Am I my brother's keeper?" said Cain. Sad, isn't it, that he asked this question after he killed him? Friend, the desires of the flesh and eyes are perfectly normal until our pride, or braggadocio, enters in and corrupts them. In other studies, I define pride as the inordinate love of the self. This agrees with pride in possessions, for possessions can be internal as well as external. When we love ourselves more than others, bad things follow. So what is the self we are called to deny? It is the identity that has been fashioned by and established on pride. Friend, when we walk in pride, we are fugitives and vagabonds and dwell in the land of vagrancy within our hearts and minds, devoid of purpose. To say it plainly, we are lost. More than once, I have been asked what it is that Christ came to save us from. I believe he came to save us from the self, more specifically from the pride of the self. In closing, allow me to share the following, which I believe sums up the meaning of the cross. In the next video study, we will look further into the concept of self-denial.